Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Kareen. I hope you're all having a great day. As I said in the last video, because I am horribly behind on Christmas cards, you guys get another Christmas card video. I'm hoping they're not all going to be Christmas card videos or, ones that you can work with. Technically, this one doesn't have to be a Christmas card. I'm just using a Christmas sentiment on it, but you could make this a beautiful men's happy birthday or something like that. That would be really quite lovely. But this is what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing a little bit of ink blending. We're going to be doing a little bit of heat embossing, etc., etc. So that's where we're going to start. This is the stamp set that I'm going to be using. This was, I'm not sure of the name of it, but it was just released at the beginning of September by Kathy Zilski on Simon Says Stamp. So I think it's, yeah, anyway, so it comes with this really beautiful silhouette of this tree line, including the grounding of the trees, which, if you watch my Lavinia videos, grounding your items that are supposed to be on the ground makes a big difference. It also has two separate trees, plus a bunch of really beautiful sentiments. Merry Christmas, peace and joy, peace to you and yours. Sending you peace this holiday season, sending joy, just breathe. So again, that could be a really simple um, you know, card doesn't have to be Christmas. Season's greetings. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Sending joy to you, and happy holidays. So those are the stamps. I also, because again, you guys all know I have a problem. Picked up the die set that goes with it. So if you didn't want to stamp the silhouettes, you could also cut these out of black or another color or whatever. So it has for the has the dies for all of the sentiments, plus for the trees and the tree line with the grounding right there. That. Okay, so I'm not going to be using the dies today. I did use the die to stamp and cut out this Merry Christmas though. So I stamped it in excuse me, I used white pigment ink and then I heat embossed it with white as well to get this lovely little Merry Christmas sentiment. So that was this one right here. I think it's actually still in my stamp platform, but that's where we're going to start with today. So I used a piece of red cardstock here, and what I want to talk about is how to make your life a little easier when you're color blending by starting with colored cardstock. Instead of trying to make all of my cardstock red and like getting an ombre effect, what I'm going to do is get a tone on tone ombre effect kind of thing by starting with a basic navy or like blue color, and then I'm going to add a slightly darker shade or even the same shade, get tone on tone, and then do a darker shade to kind of get a nice night sky. This is the one that I'm going to complete the card on, where I started with teal and then I used peacock feathers. So you can kind of see here, like it's lighter. And then we start to get up into where I've color blended here. So this is peacock feathers on teal. And then this is uncharted mariner, which kind of makes it that beautiful, like sunsetty kind of look. So I pre-did this one because the ink needs time to dry in order for us to stamp. So this one will be put aside, but I'm going to show you what I did. So we're going to put the example aside, and we're going to start with some ink blending. So again, you can use pigment inks. However, pigment inks sit on top of the paper, so you have to give it a lot of time to dry in between layers and things like that. So I'm going to be using dye-based inks, and I'm going to be using Distress ink. Any dye-based ink would work. Mementos, elements, yeah, whatever you've got that is a dye-based or a water-based ink will work just fine. I'm going to use Distress inks. I'm using Prize Ribbon and Chip Sapphire. So the Prize Ribbon, I think, is going to be a pretty good tone on tone for this. So you're not going to see a huge difference in the color, but there should be some difference in the color. And I'm going to bring in my brush. I'm going to load up, and I am going to be using quite a bit of ink. So I'm going to load up, load up, load up, load up, load up. Okay, and I'm just going to come in from the edge, and I'm going to bring that. Oh yeah, you can actually see that pretty good there. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring in the ink. So the nice thing, because this is actually going to be behind the trees as well, I don't have to do like these stupendous ink blending job. It doesn't have to be great, but this would work really well on, I don't know, like what's your kind of your favorite color? If you wanted to create a sunset, you could use like yellow cardstock and then do orange and then kind of a red. You could do that. So I did it on red cardstock with 2 different shades of red. And that was candy apple and lumberjack plaid. And then, like I said, with the teal, I did the teal. You could do like a navy cardstock as well and use like really, really deep, intense shades of, you might only get, like you'd have to use like a dark color like chip sapphire. You might not be able to use 2 colors. You might only get the one. Okay. And I'm just going to bring this down, this color here, because I kind of want to have like that halo glow effect, right? That's what I'm looking for. So I'm bringing that down. But look at how much that saturated the paper already. Like it's kind of dark and moody already, which is kind of cool. So that's good. So that prize ribbon works really good. I'm gonna remember that because I think that this particular technique, other than the ink blending, everything else goes really quick. Because if I could die cut out the trees and just be like bang, 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 glue them all on, I'm done, right? Or even ink embossing, or sorry, heat embossing doesn't take all that much time. The most time that I'm going to be taking here actually is with the ink blending. So I could do a variety, like a 4-pack. Um, so yeah, you can see how much water is in my paper because it's starting to curl up, right? So the ink, like the liquid from the ink, there is quite a bit in there and it's curling my paper. This is just 65-pound cardstock from Michael's. This doesn't have to be any great. This one's a little thicker. I think that's like an 80-pound. I have no idea where I got that from. That might be a Stampin' Up one or something. I don't even know. Okay, so let's put in our chip sapphire, which is kind of like the really deep navy color of the Distress line ink. The Distress ink line, I think is what I was trying to say there. All right, and I'm gonna bring that in. I just kind of want to create again that bit of like the arch of the halo of a you know how the sky, like the glow from below. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping my center, so you can see where I've got the lighter color. I've gone into the darker color, and now I want to go even darker up top. Oops. Sorry, guys. I might even have to see if I have a darker color than this. I don't know. Is that showing? What do you guys think? Oh yeah, definitely. I can see it over here. Look at that deep. So we go from this lighter to the deeper and then even deeper. This looks like almost like the depths of the ocean. We go deeper, you know. It's like it's that crazy movie where it's like, you know, in space they can't hear you scream. And I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but I can actually see because there is so much ink in this area here. As I'm swirling my brush, I can actually see the ink being pushed along my cardstock here. So that it's like lifting and yeah, it's actually leaving brush marks where the ink is. Okay, that's going to be really, really, really lovely. That's going to make a really nice card. Okay, so I don't know, can you see? Yeah, you can see here. Look at where those brush marks are. Now that will fade back as the ink dries. That's not going to stay there. But that's actually where my bristles on my ink brush are pushing the ink back and forth there in the paper and kind of buffing it and blending it together. That's, wow. Yeah, and you can see some of it has even started to come through the back. Because again, this isn't super thick cardstock. So I'm going to call that a very decent blend. That'll work more than well enough for what I need uh, for this project. Okay, so I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to let this dry. I'm not going to be doing anything with this one. I will be, but just not today. You guys don't need to wait and watch me dry that one. As it is, that one, the other one might not even be dry yet. I might have to take my, what do you call it? My heat tool to it still. So I'm just going to put this to the side and I'm going to bring this one in and I want to see how dry it is first. And to do that, I'm going to pull out my clear detailed embossing powder, which is also what I'm going to be using in a bit, but I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to run it along the area where I put the ink. Okay. Basically, you can see it has all tapped off. So there was a couple of areas where it was a little sticky. So you can see here, which is of course where I would have put more ink down. You can just kind of see the granules there. So that is a little bit, but if I tap it, those are coming off. So this is pretty good. So as long as I'm using my my embossing buddy or my what the heck am I calling it again? My yeah, my embossing buddy. So your anti-static powder, basically. Okay, so now I want, because this is a silhouette, I prefer to use, actually I'm gonna pull that stamp out of there too. Got it here. I prefer to use my stamping platform so that I know I'm going to get a good, I can reposition and stamp it as many times as I need to. Okay. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to have a little bit of a lip up here. I don't want to go right down to the bottom because I want to have, there is an edge. So I want to make sure that I'm catching the edge of where all of that cardstock is going to be. And I'm going to take these and I'm just going to put them here for now. I'm going to pick up my stamp off the side and I'm going to lay it down here like this, making sure that the grounding part is coming off of my stamp. Now I can move these in a little bit now that I've got that down, and I'm pretty happy with the placement there. So I'm going to swing the door closed and I'm going to pick it up. Now I am going to use VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, which is the black. Could also do twilight on this as well, like with this greenish color, like a navy would be really pretty. But I've already stamped my sentiment and everything. I've done that in black, so we're going to keep it up with them. But I do really highly recommend you want to do this in a pigment ink because again, well, number one, I've decided that I'm going to be heat embossing that. So I need it to stay, I need an ink that is going to stay wet so that I can put my embossing powder over it. But also a pigment ink is going to stick to your stamp the best and give you a much crisper, cleaner stamping, okay? Okay, so I'm going to pull that over like that, and I'm going to bring on my little air hockey tool, give it a little rub like that. I don't want to compress, just going to give it a rub. So you can see here where it missed a few areas, which is why we always want to make sure that we're using our stamping platform for something this big. If you're not using your stamping platform, you're just using an acrylic block, make sure that you have something that your stamp can bite into. So every stamping platform has this really great little, should have a little mouse paddy kind of thing in it. And I also have my sticky mat and stuff in here, which is not helping. I should probably pull that out, but I was able to get it to work earlier, so it should work just fine. Okay. I'm just gonna give that a little down again because I want a really nice crisp black image. I want it to be solid. So there's still a few areas here where you can see where my stamp is not quite touching down. So that's okay. I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna keep inking up. Silhouette stamps take a lot of ink because they have a lot of surface area. So I'm just catching all of the bases of these trees here where I know for a fact that it's, you know, it's probably my plates that are underneath that are impacting how good of an image I'm getting, but that's okay. I have more ink and I'm just inking up the bottoms of the trees now because that seems to be, again, that edge where it's kind of catching. So I just want to make sure that I'm getting good coverage. There, I'm very happy. Check that out. That looks great, right? And while I've got this open, I'm going to give it a quick wipe because there are some areas where it didn't stamp down there after I re-inked. So I'm going to give it a quick wipe just to make sure. And also you can see I've got a bit of a line of ink right here on my mat. So I'm going to give that a bit of a wipe as well. Because I had the cardstock was up a little bit in order to make sure that I had a full coverage of the ground below my trees. I'm just going to put this to the side for now. Okay, and I'm going to bring out clear embossing powder. Now I could use black, but I don't, as I said, I don't like to use black. I much prefer to use black ink because it'll go where I want it to. Oh, I totally forgot to use my embossing button. Oh, you guys didn't see. Oh, it's okay because it actually has a really good image. But so technically, don't do what I do there. So before I stamped it, I should have used my embossing buddy just to make sure that I'm not going to have my embossing powder sticking in any place I don't want it. But the upside is I'm using clear. So if it does stick someplace, it's not the end of the world. If I was using black, I could have been in really big trouble and having to clean up a lot. Because black, the little fine specks go everywhere, right? Versus clear. So because I've used black black ink underneath this, and now I'm going to put clear embossing powder over top of it, it's going to give me a really nice image of black, like clear glossy black, without having to worry about having little speckles of black all over the place, which is what I want. So now I'm going to emboss this. I'm going to heat this up. So I'm using the craft tool, the Ranger Heat It craft tool. It looks like a hair dryer. It's nice and quiet, so I can talk over it without you guys having to listen to the of a heat tool. It is a little slower. It is not a hairdresser, a hair dryer, despite how it looks. But it does get very, very hot. So please, if you do have one of these things, please don't use it on your hair because you'll fry your hair. So as soon as the embossing powder starts to melt, I'm moving on. I don't want to burn my embossing powder. Turns out you can do that. It's plastic, really, right? So you want to give it a move, give it a move. Keep moving. Now, if we want, well, some of that is still wet. I'm going to take it and I'm going to throw it into my embossing powder again. Because what it'll do is where it was still melted and hot, the embossing powder will stick to it and I can get an even shinier. Because you notice usually on the first time that you use embossing powder, so the first layer, it will end up having a few little pock marks and things like that in it. But when you do it this way, I'm going to do it this way so that I can catch that end while it's warm. While you do it this way, you can do multiple layers and get an even smoother, almost like a sticker-like finish, almost like if you were using like a glossy accent. So that's why this is considered one of the other ways to add gloss to your project. It's getting a little toasty there. Toasty on the fingers, toasty on the fingers. Okay. And let's do one more for good measure, just because. Okay. Yeah. Yes, we can. Okay, so this isn't going to come out perfect, but you can see here. I'll show you what it looks like when we get that really pretty gloss look there. So because I'm catching this while the embossing powder is still hot, that means it's still kind of plastic, right? So it's still sticky. So I can get multiple different layers without having to re-stamp it. So I'm going to show you here. Now, look at the edge. Look at how shiny and almost smooth it is there. And then it's a little pocky there. And then look at this, sorry, there, look at this tree compared to this tree, right? So now it looks like I have varying textures even on my trees, which is kind of cool. That's cool. I've seen that done lots of times, but I think that that's the very first time that I've ever done it. I always forget. I love heating boss. It's so magical, and it's just like, oh my god, it's like a chemical process that kind of looks like magic, right? And it has the coolest. Oh, sorry, this is actually just a little silicone pot holder that I like to use to kind of protect my surface while I'm using my heat tool because it's often quite hot, right? So yeah. Oh. Anyway, yeah, heat embossing is just so magical because it takes this solid thing and then creates it into a liquid and then brings it back to a solid. So I always find that really fascinating. So now here we go. Look at how beautiful that is. So we now look like, so we've got the glow. We've got the glow down below into kind of like the the dark starry sky is what I was going for. So this is what our card is going to look like. Okay, so just on a white card base. You could put it, if you really wanted it to be moody, you could put it on a black one as well. That'd be kind of cool. But um, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. But what I would like to do now, because this is going to be, so you could just leave it like this. You could do some spatter to get like some stars in the sky, obviously, because stars are not a problem at all. So that's always lovely. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a white, like that. And I am going to pull out some, this is the Dina Wakley Mixed Media Acrylic Paint in white. And I'm just going to take a little bit here, like that. I was really surprised when I looked at this. It's almost looks like like the nozzle on it looks like a liquid pearls or yeah, something like that. And I was like, that's surprising. I'm just going to give it a spray of water and my little fan brush. So we're going to bring this in. Okay. And I'm just going to mix it up a little bit and thin it out enough that it can spatter. Now, if I didn't want to have any snow on the trees, like I didn't want anything coming down, what I could do is kind of, let's just stick this here, kind of just do a bit of a masking and then spritz, right? So a little like that. And now we're getting stars in the sky. Okay, so it could be like that. So let's bring that up. Or if you were to add white to, not white, but if you were to use like some liquid pearls, the liquid pearl, no, perfect pearls. If you were going to use the perfect pearls, the perfect pearl color, which is of course the white one, it would give you like a shiny starry night sky. But I actually want to create snow, so I'm going to have it falling like from the sky, but also onto the trees. I don't mind if I get a bit on the trees. I want it to look like snow. I'm just taking my fan brush and adding a little bit here. Smidgen. Like that. I only want a little bit on the trees though, because they are, again, because they're going to have a bit of a resist. So I don't want too much that's going to be rubbing off, but I do want it to go behind into like the areas where the sky is showing behind the trees. Just like that. There we go. So I'm going to put that to the side to dry, and I'm going to clean this up a little bit. And of course, I'm going to do my lazy way of cleaning my brush. Like that. And smudge it, smudge it, smudge it. Wipe it. White out. This is, again, this is not the best way to clean your brush. This is, yeah, this is just the lazy gal's way of cleaning up. I will wash this after I'm done this session, but this is just so that it doesn't harden and solidify in the meantime. And now, as you can see, I have a few little squidgies of, it's called white splatter. So I'm just gonna scrub that and clean it up again, and here we go. Okay, so I think we've only got a couple, so I'm just gonna give this a quick little dry. I don't want to get too close because again, I don't want to remelt my embossing powder, but I do want to make sure that my splatters are dry, right? So again, I think I was talking about how you could mass produce these because you could just stamp them. You don't have to put the heat embossing on them either. You could have just left them black. So you ink emboss, or sorry, ink emboss, you ink blend, get your shadow, right? So that you have the, looks like the sunset or the night sky, get that kind of glow kind of on the go there. Stamp them, move on. Stamp them, move on. You could even stamp your sentiments in black on there if you wanted. Like you don't have to stamp them and then cut them out or anything. So it could be a really great way to make sets of cards or, just be really quick and easy done with those. So now, because we've got a bit of warping, now if I wanted, I could run that through my die cut machine or something like that, just to kind of straighten it out. But I don't, it's not that bad. So I'm just going to take some dry adhesive, so some double-sided tape here. And I'm not doing foam tape. I'm just using some Sukwang, so double-sided adhesive. A good strong adhesive. I could use my liquid glue. That would work fine too. But because it's got that slight warp to it, I do want to make sure it's got a really good hold. And I don't really want to add any more liquid to the card if I don't need to. Because like I said, with that ink on there, there's already quite a bit. Should be, it's dry now, but we don't need to make things more complicated than we need to, right? So, right. Put that. Pull these off of now. There we go. 1, 2. Three. How are you guys coming with your Christmas cards? Has anybody started? I was at a crop a couple weeks ago. The ladies said, is anybody else like me and hasn't started their Christmas cards yet? So I did, fortunately enough, I do have some, and I did a bunch of Lavinia cards that weekend. I think I got about 15, 20 of them done, which was really great because those ones can often take quite some time. Those are not an easy batch card, is what I would say. Take a lot of detail and whatever. So now I'm just going to lay this down onto my card, trying to get it as, centered as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. Not perfect. It's just a cup. Okay, there we go. Like that. There we go. Now, I have already added, because I didn't want you guys to have to wait while I tried to put all these little pieces on the back of my sentiment. So as I said, I stamped Merry Christmas on black cardstock with white pigment ink, and then I used white embossing powder and to get that nice shiny. Okay. And so we could do there. We can do it down here. I kind of like it. What do you guys think? So we could have it down here, kind of off to the edge. I don't really want to put it in the sky because I really like the sky. I like the glow. I want the full sky showing. So I like it here in the trees, which is really lovely. Maybe you can go a little lower and have more of a tree. But I'm kind of thinking, just here. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, I think I'm going to put it right there. Okay, so I do have, like I said, I have a little bit of thin foam just to pop this up a little bit. The previous one though, I just glued it right onto the cards, right onto the card front. So it's a almost 0 dimension, but because I added some stars and whatnot, yeah, it should still be quite easy to mail, so cheap to mail, which is nice. So, but this is not like a ton of dimension, as I said. I think it's only like a millimeter thick. This foam tape, it's not very thick. Okay. And I'm going to take that and yeah, I kind of want oops. There we go. So I'm going to add that there. Okay, so that's nice. Now I want to pull out, I have 2 options here. I have the Studio Katja Starry Sky, and I also have the Studio Katja Iridescent Ice Floats. So again, I could do, and especially because it's got this really cool blue on it, I could make this look like a starry night sky, right? So these kind of things, like with clear, so it's got iridescent, so I'll put them in here. So there's blues, clears, kind of a purpley color. You can see the mix there. Like this one, let's see here. Oh, I might have some adhesive on my tweezers. Okay, let's do another blue there. And maybe, okay, so that's like an option. I'm not sure that I like the Starry Night. I think if I was doing this like without the Christmas one on and the background, I think that would be okay. But I think I'm going to use the snowflakes. I like the snowflakes and how they turned out on the other one. So I think that's what I'm going to use. But these are both really good. Both are good options. All depends on your personal taste and what kind of card you're making. Like I said, if it's just meant to be thinking of you card or, that kind of thing, then you don't necessarily want it to be, maybe you don't want snowflakes on there. Okay. So because we have snowflakes, I'm kind of put them down a little lower. So I've got there's a couple of different sizes in here. There's some bigger ones and then there's some smaller ones, which is kind of nice. Let's get it. Did you pick up the right way? There we go. Oh, fudge. That. And here. Come on. Good, good. And which one? Upside down here. What have we got so far? Is anybody counting? I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would like a couple more higher ups. So we need to do a 9. Eh? So I'm going to move that one much further down. Okay. And one over. What do we think? We're going to move that one over. Yeah, can you guys see that there? Oopsie. You see another twinkle? Okay, so now I'm going to take my little jewelry. It's basically a little wax crayon. Comes like this. A lot of salons use them for nail techs use them. Oh, got a little bit of edge of glue on that. Do here. Oops. This nice big one right there. Go. Put that down like so. That one's done. And before I go and drop them all, let's put these back. Go. All right. There we go. So, and of course, you can still see the white glue behind there, but the Barely Arts glue that I put in my glue press there will dry clear, so I don't have to worry about that. So that's just going to be like just a hint of shine. But look at how beautiful that is. And this panel is, nope, still not dry. I can still see the wet marks on it. So we're still going to let it go. But that's, again, color blending, but starting with colored cardstock. So you don't have to add so much ink to it, right? That would have been, I mean, there's a lot of ink on there already, but in order to do the 3 colors, it would have ended up being quite a bit of ink. And so we've got the highlight here, like the daylight or maybe the sunset or whatever into the darker sky. And then we've got the beautiful green teal into the deeper, darker night. So that, folks, is going to be the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment, if you have any questions or there's anything further that you would like to know, please do comment in the comment section below. Again, remember to please keep it kind. Please share with your friends, family, if you have anybody that is into card making or is looking to just be a crafter or something like that, by all means, please share. And I will see you guys in the next video.